crime anymore, just kids having a bit of harmless fun. Well, they are kids, all right. We've heard of them as young as 6 years old, but they're not harmless. Graffiti is often an outlandish eyesore. It costs a small fortune to remove, and it can be fatal.
I don't know, it's like having sex for the first time all over again, you know, it's good.
Fame, that's the main goal, fame.
There are thousands of them out there, the graffiti gangsters. They range from kids cultivating cool to violent thugs. The damage bill for all this is $50 million a year in Sydney alone. Ken Stevens may call himself a writer, but his message isn't easy to read. What does that say?
Cat in a hat. That's what you call toy in a way.
Toy?
Yeah, it's not really toy, but it's not really good, you know.
You won't see 16-year-old Julian Neal's name on walls, but you can't miss his tag. Game, left like a calling card all over Sydney.
But, you know, I get a kick off, you know, I like doing dangerous things, but having fun too.
The graffiti artist lives in a world of his own, and he has a language of his own too. The most common word is tag, which is the name a graffiti artist gives himself. So, pest, for instance, is a tag. There's piece, as in masterpiece, which is like a complete work. And then when you see a whole row of carriages covered with paint, that's what any graffiti artist would call a really good hit.
They photograph to show in their brag hooks, swap around their mates.
In this war of the walls, Sergeant Tony Snow is fighting on the other side. He's with the Transit Police. Every piece of Sydney graffiti ends up in his files. Snowy not only knows how to make sense of the words, he also knows who's written them.
Mad Train Vandals, VIA, Vandals in Art, DMC, Do More Crime. Can't say there's anything artistic about it anyway, really.
Why are they doing it?
They become famous.
But why be famous for scribbling on walls?
Well, they seem to think that they're all Picassos, I think.
One obvious solution to graffiti is make it legal. 60 Minutes found the wall, got the owner's permission. If they really are Picassos, now they can prove it.
You should move over a bit more. Serious. Who's doing the piece? I'm saying you should move over a bit more. Just a fraction. No, that way. So you fill the wall up more because the character's got to go there. Got a gun?
Ken do have the artistic temperament.
Wait, the G's all right. The N star and the M are too big for the MA, G. But you're the one that stuffed it up. No, it's exactly like your outline. I just fixed it up for you. It was nice and easy in the beginning. I'll do it. Do it, man.
Once they're underway, it's serious work. Ken's style is called public. You can actually read it. And Gaines, that's wild style. In other words, incomprehensible unless you're in the know. So, is it art? We asked Edmund Capon from the New South Wales Gallery.
Yeah, I do like it. But that's not to say I want to buy that wall and put it in the gallery yet.
But this art can carry a jail sentence.
If you lock them up for that, think of the number of advertising agents you've had to lock up as well.
Who've done worse things, do you think?
A heap worse.
It's the graffiti underworld, a maze of tunnels deep beneath Sydney.
Even Melbourne people know that the trains are stored here, as well as Brisbane, blokes that come down here. We've actually had Brisbane fellas here before.
But they like to let you know where they
Oh,
come
yes, they
from.
let you know. They like to leave their tag, and they like to leave the crew and where they're from around.
And this is what they come for. The perfect parked target. Said, it's like a subterranean heaven for graffiti writers.
They come down through this way.
Their thrill in the dark.
This is exactly what I was talking about. This is just what they do.
Snowy's been patrolling down here for years, but he says the kids know the tunnels better than the railway workers and police. And they always manage to catch their train.
This one I know.
Who's that?
I'll be having words to him, Beat and Lurk and Fairs. I know all these fellas. I'll start talking to them.
So how many trains can they do in one day?
Well, depends on how many's down here. They have been known to do 24 carriages in one night down in here. So that's inside and out.
One o'clock in the morning. 2 hours before, 60 Minutes received an anonymous phone call, inviting us to come and see a real hit on a train parked inside Sydney's largest railway repair yard. It takes these two vandals an hour to bomb this carriage. 6 people clattering around and camera lights blazing. But security and transit police never turn up.
We're short of staff, very short of staff. So naturally, how can you patrol everywhere when you haven't got the manpower? I know the yard that you're talking about. I've seen the photos of the train, but there is only a small number of security guards there, so it's unfortunate. Had they been in that area, I can rest assured of one thing: you'd have been in the police station as well, probably screaming for help from us.
This is Jamie Coble, 17 years old. He fell under a Melbourne train while hanging out. Jamie lost his legs, and he says all memory of what happened that night.
My understanding of the situation where Jamie lost his legs, that he was...
Peter Stevens is a Melbourne transit cop who insists he knows all too well what Jamie was doing when he fell.
Doors were released and closed. The train's going flat out. Jamie's hanging on to here for grim death. They passed a speed indicating sign which clipped him on the back of the legs, which in turn threw him off the train, and his legs fell across the track, severing both of them.
Peter Stevens insists too there's evidence Jamie is still tagging moving trains. But Jamie's mother, Heather, won't believe it.
Well, he promises me he hasn't done it. I query him every night. If you behaved yourself, if you've been hassled by the transit police, I ask him every night he comes home.
There are reports that Jamie is still doing it though.
In what way?
Well, still tagging.
No, I haven't been tagging.
It says a lot about graffiti that Jamie is out of work, has lost his legs, but he's become a local hero.
Some of these kids, it's grabbed them like a form of alcoholism or nicotine. I've actually had one in tears in front of me where he claims that he can't get on a train without having a can of spray paint or one of those monstrous felt tip marking pens in his pocket. He feels alone if he gets on a train and he doesn't have one with him. And this kid is dead serious. He was in tears telling me about it.
They're serious about paints, pens, and appearance. Clothes are part of the cult. The right label jacket and designer running shoes. The more expensive, the better. What they can't afford, they steal.
Yeah, I've stolen clothes, you know, since I've been bombing and that, but now, you know, I buy clothes, I work, you know, so I don't have to steal.
Amanda Neal, Julian's mother.
You asked me where they get their clothes. I'd say most of them would probably do what they call racking. You know, they rack their clothes.
Steal it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would see that really it's the role of a parent to stop their child breaking the law. That's a fundamental thing that a parent does.
That's right. Some to the extent where it encourages the child to break the law.
But it's against the law.
Right. According to the judicial system, not necessarily the gang or his friends.
In those gangs there is violence, there is crime,
that's right.
there's drugs.
Yeah, we're not all angels, you know.
These are the sort of things that the police have taken off the graffiti kids. A key, which they've made themselves to open the railway carriages, and a camera, because they love to record their own work. But far more sinister, there are weapons. A knuckle duster, very vicious implement, and the knife. And remember that the people using these are 14, 15, 16 years old.
Of course we do a lot of bad stuff, but we try to hurt the big man, but not the little man, you know.
Graffiti keeps going up as quickly as it's cleaned off. A teenage obsession with law breaking and leaving a mark. Another contagious disease with no cure in sight.
I don't like plane trains. They bore me. They really bore me. Covered in dust. They're all the one colour. I mean, it's boring enough taking a train ride, let alone having to look at the goddamn things.
You got to be violent in a way these days just to survive, you know. If you didn't stand up for yourself, like as a teenager these days, you'd just end up getting trodden on all over the place, you know.
We're going to try and stop it. They're not artists. They're criminals in the making. That's all they are.